Hello, hello. Getting any alerts and stuff? Hey, 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 hey. Doo-doo-doo. Let me put the screen behind me, guys. Which one we gonna do first? I wish you could see it better. See, that's why I don't like doing this. Why I want to do the other screen, but I can't. My everything is acting up today. My music acting up. My stand acting up. You can't read what's in back of me. It's all right. We're going to get it together. We're going to get it together. Come on in, you guys. Tap, 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 tap. And share. Share, share, share. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're going to talk about the 4 agreements. I don't know if you guys were watching when you came in, but it was that's what we're talking about. It's a book. It was written by Don Miguel Ruiz. I'm not going to like break the book down, or I'm gonna break the 4 agreements down and what I believe them to be. I'm gonna do them one at a time. The first one is be impeccable with your words. That's the one I'm gonna talk about first. I wanted to play some music for you guys, but I changed my setup around, and in doing so, I didn't hook everything up right, and my son is busy. So we're not gonna have no music. I was just gonna play it until we get more people in. So can you guys tap, 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 tap the screen, share the live if you haven't done so already. The 4 agreements. First, we're gonna talk about be impeccable with your word, and what I believe it to mean, and what I think we can do. And what I think we can do, to get to where we need to be. The whole purpose of this is to transform your life, to become enlightened, right? More in tune. So the 4 agreements, I believe it was written in 1997, 96, 97, one of those. But again, this is not a book review. It's just a kind of breakdown of what the 4 agreements mean to me. And if you have any questions, or you have any response, or how you feel, that's fine. Place it right there in the comments and we will talk about it. So as I said before, it was written by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's from Toltec wisdom, and that's it's a Mexican culture. So I'm not gonna infringe on anyone's beliefs or anything like that. That's why I'm gonna break it down to what I feel it to believe. Don't want to take any chances. Anything get you canceled nowadays, okay? So what the 4 agreements are is be impeccable with your word. That's one. Another one is don't take anything personally, and don't make assumptions. Always do your best is the last one. And I haven't perfected it, but I am, doing it every day and becoming better and better at doing it every day. But this first one, be impeccable with your word, you can't read it, so I'm gonna read it because I do have it on this other phone. So I'm gonna read the first one off. So be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Hey, speak with integrity. Let me mod you up too. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Hello, hello. It is amazing. Yeah, it is. Use the power of your word to offer love. Never use it to cause fear or pain in another or yourself. Be impeccable with your words. In many cultures, in many religions, they tell you your words have power. They tell you that there is life and death in your words. So you could actually be speaking a word over something, right? So you have to be careful with what you put out in the universe, because when you speak it, you put it out in the universe. Once you say it, it's out in the universe. When you think it, that's a within thing, right? Only you know that you're thinking it. No one else knows. But once it leaves your mouth, once it's said, it's out there, right? And even if no person has heard you, the universe heard you. So you've put it out there. So if you be impeccable with your words, right? If you speak positive and not negative, this is what you're putting. This is the energy then that you're calling to yourself. You would be calling positive energy to yourself. You have to tell, you have to encourage yourself, right? Sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Those are positive reinforcements that you give yourself when you encourage yourself. So when we're impeccable with our words, you ever heard, it's a Bible scripture, but a lot of people use it as a saying, right? When you dig one ditch, dig two, because the ditch you dug, you may have dug for you. Well, that's the same thing with your words. Sometimes we can speak a word, we can say something, and we could be being negative over someone else, right? And karma, bring it back to us and catch us with it, or even to the point of being dishonest. You ever known people to lie and say, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to do a certain thing because I don't feel good, right? But it's not that they sick. Say you guys were supposed to go out together, go do something, right? Shopping, lunch, whatever. And the person don't want to go anymore, like they agreed to go and they don't want to go anymore, and so they'll say, oh, I can't go because I don't feel good, right? And then sometimes they turn out to really get sick. So that I equate being impeccable with your word to that, right? Be careful. Be careful what you say. Things have a way of coming back to you. Even your words. I know, we believe that a lot of our actions, the things that we do, can turn around and come back to us. I know we tend to believe that. We tend to feel like that. But also, things that you say can turn around and come back to you. So if you are mindful, a good way also to be impeccable with your words is really to think before you speak. It's important. If you think before you speak, a lot of the times we wouldn't say some of the things that we say so sometimes you can say something, but the way you say it, or even your word choice, or in the timing that you say it, will change the entire meaning of what you're saying. I mean, and sometimes the change of the removal of a word or just adding a word, that alone in itself could change an entire sentence. Just by either adding a word or removing a word or changing a word. So if we think before we speak, then we would do exactly that. Rise in affliction is huge in communication. Yes, absolutely. We become, and then you become also aware. You become aware because sometimes during heightened emotions, whichever way it is, good or bad, during times of heightened emotions, you could say things. You could say things, right? And you could wish you could take them, wish I could take those words back. But you can't, right? You can't. And a lot of people like to think sometimes when you think something, it's just as bad as saying it, but it's not, because you're not putting it in the universe, right? So if you think first before you say something and you switch it up based on thinking about it first, that's not bad. It's okay to do that. It's actually pretty smart. It's pretty smart to do it, because if you really think about it, when your emotions are running really high, you'll say some really bad things, or you'll get emotional and even commit to some things that you may, not really want to commit to, but you're in an emotional state, right? I used to be a pastor. And what I noticed about pastors, and it was one of the things that I promised to never do, the charismatic part of them, they get you heightened, and that's when the hey, I'm good, and that's when the offering plates would come around, right? You get heightened, you get in a heightened sense, whether they tell you the spirit is moving, whatever it is, or you're crying. That's the best time, right, to send the offering plates around. Hey, how you doing? So it's a manipulation. It is, and that's one of the reasons why I was like, I'm good. I don't want to do this, because it is a manipulation, and pastors are not. It is. Is it you or me? Because it could be me. Pastors are not the only ones. So yeah, it might really be me. Am I being reported, or? Because I don't know how or why y'all would want to be reporting me right now. So pastors are not the only ones who, utilize those types of manipulation tactics based on your emotional state, right? They'll do that to you based on your emotional state. Politicians will utilize your emotional state. Not you. I don't think you're reporting me. Politicians will utilize your emotional state. Your loved ones will utilize your emotional state. And sometimes it's done subconsciously, right? They're not setting out to use you or do you any harm sometimes. But it's done consciously as well. And I even say to those things, they are just as bad, because you put those words out there like that. And even though you're using them as a manipulation tactic, it'll come back to you. I believe it really will come back to you. So if we practice being positive in our words, in our actions, then not only do it become like second nature, it becomes a part of you, right? It's not just you start off by saying it, telling yourself to do it, right? So you're teaching yourself when you're practicing, but then you start to believe it and you put it into work and do it, right? And so then it becomes that's what you do. I no longer have to tell myself in the morning to speak words of affirmation to myself. I know to do it now, right? I trained myself to speak words of affirmation. I don't know if you guys ever looked at any of my old content, but some of the very first things that I did on TikTok was get up every morning. Hey, I'm good, thank you. Was get up every morning and I would look in the mirror and I would talk to myself. I would speak words of affirmation, encouragement to myself. But I used to have to remind myself to do that, right? I got to a point where I no longer had to remind myself to do it. It became second nature. It was automatic, right? And that's what it was. So don't take anything personally. This one is a big one, because a lot of times we'll think people talking to us or about us, and it has nothing to do with us, and that's because we've taken it personal. So if we get into the practice of not taking things personally, right? Nothing others do is because of you. I like this one. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a result of their own dream or perception of their rules. We all make rules about how things should be, but when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. I like that. I'm going to read that again. So when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. So with this, don't take anything personally. This right here, over these last, 9 months, 8, 9 months, this has been something that's been very powerful to me. Don't take anything personally. There's a lot going on. People do a lot of things, and sometimes you believe that it's because of you or because of something that you have done. You have to stop doing that. We have to learn. A lot of people do things based on their experiences. A lot of people say things based on their experiences. Even if someone is jealous of you, it's not nothing that you did, right? Has nothing to do with anything that you did. It's something in them. More than likely, when a person is jealous of you, it is because they lack something that you have. Therefore, they want something that you possess. And it could be a smile, it could be your voice, your hair, whatever. But most of the time, when people are jealous of you, it is that. It is because of something that they lack, right? So why would you and I take something personal, right? Why should we take something personal from someone who is lacking something that we have? They're lacking something that we have. So why would I take that personal? Why should I take that personal? There's no debit in me. It's you, right? That has the problem. It's you. So since you have the problem, seems like a you problem, right? Not a me problem. We get so caught up in what people think about us, right? We get so caught up in how people view us and see us, or if people are talking about us. Thank you guys for the gifts, by the way. What people are saying about us. We get so caught up in that. Do you realize that when we do that, we lose who we are? You lose who you are when you do that, because what you end up doing is you end up allowing someone else to dictate to you who you are and how you're going to respond, right? Hey, this is what you end up doing. And so we have to be careful with that. And since I modded you too, just in case you didn't see it, we have to be careful with that, because here's one of the things. If you've ever been in a long-term relationship, or if you have children, one of the things you should notice, you lose yourself. You lose yourself. I was talking to Pressure. I know you was a mod. You lose yourself when you do that. You become everything for someone else. And so then you lose yourself because you've taken things personally. You've taken things personally. And this is what we can't do. We can't take things personal. Someone has a problem with you, that is a them problem, not your problem. Hey, how are you? And so we should practice being able to not take things so personally. The next one is don't make assumptions. So to me, these two go hand in hand. Don't take things personally and don't make assumptions. To me, they go hand in hand with one another. So don't make assumptions says, find the quiet courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Don't make assumptions. This is very big because making assumptions is a huge part of communication, right? It plays a very large part in communication. When we assume someone means something by something they did or said, rather than getting clarity, of what's being said or what's being done, I've seen friendships lost because of things like that. Someone will do something or say something and you took it a certain way, and we make assumptions a lot based on what we're going through and how we're feeling, right? So any other day, you could say something like, the color black, I don't like the color black, but see, I have on black today. So if you say that today, then I may take that personal. Like, what you mean? I have on black. So I'm making an assumption that you're talking to or about me and the black that I have on. That's an assumption when I could just clearly say to you, when you say something like that, I could just clearly say, are you talking to me? Like, dude, is there something wrong with my black, you know? And we tend to not do that because a lot of times people don't want to be confrontational, right? And what we need to learn to do is separate inquiring about something from confrontation, or disagreeing as confrontation. What happened? Shut up. As confrontation. We do that a lot. Just because someone disagrees with you does not mean they're opposition or that they're looking to be confrontational with you. We shouldn't all think the same. We shouldn't all believe the same. We shouldn't all behave the same in some areas. Like, you know, certain things just should be across the board. But you understand what I'm saying, I hope. If not, don't make assumptions. Ask the question that needs to be asked. I don't think that we should be so hard on questions, on people that ask questions or have questions, because a lot of the times, now, you know, there are some questions that are just probing, but a lot of the times people just want clarity. Definitely, no matter how much any two people agree, most of the time they won't agree all the time. Exactly. People sometimes just want clarity. And me personally, with what you're saying, I don't want to be surrounded by people that always agree with me or we're always in agreement, right? Because I'm not being challenged. And if I'm not being challenged, I could think that I'm doing the right thing and not be doing the right thing just because I'm not being challenged. That is bad. That's bad too, right? So I want people around me that'll push me to the limit when it comes to conversations, you know, without it being combative, without it being confrontational, with it just being healthy conversation, so that no assumptions have to be made, because assumptions are bad. Right, without being challenged or getting the past. It's a deep thought. I'm gonna get to that too. I'm gonna get to enlightenment and being aware, self-aware. I'm gonna get to those things. Don't surround yourself. I would advise, absolutely, I would advise that you never surround yourself with people that are always going to agree with you. It is dangerous, right? Because even when you're wrong, if they won't say that you're wrong, you'll go on doing one or two things. Truly believing that you're not doing wrong, or building a environment where you can do wrong and not be challenged on it. And that is very dangerous. It's very dangerous, and it's unrealistic because you're not living in a realistic place, right? Because your group, those that surround you, may not call you out, right? But everybody is not like the people that surround you. And then this is where a lot of problems come in, because Here it goes. You in a group of people who always let you do what you're doing, say what you're saying. Nobody offers a challenge to you. The moment you're not in that group of people and someone challenges you, you feel like it's a real live like challenge. Like it's opposition and they're lying on you or believe you're a liar. Because you've been in this environment where you've been allowed, where you've been allowed to be who you are, good or bad. Good or bad. So once you're not in that environment, you're feeling picked on, even. And so y'all, I love this. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we got two good things that were said in these comments, and I'm going to read them off. Healthy conversation and having someone to disagree with you provides the opportunity for growth. I love that. And then confirmation bias enables ignorance. And it does. It does. And I love it. And I love when y'all interact with me. It's good. So don't make assumptions. Ask questions. Have healthy conversations, right? One or two things with me. If you say something that I don't like and we're cool, I'm going to say something. I'm going to ask a question or I'm going to go off, one or the other, right? If you say something that I like or don't like and I don't know you and we're not cool, one or two things. I may respond and I may not respond because I don't have to respond, right? We don't know one another. So you may get either or in that case, right? It's also okay to change your mind and to say, I reconsider. Oh yeah, that absolutely. So listen, here's the thing. I've always said to myself, I'm open to corrective criticism, right? I'm open to it, right? And when I know something and I feel like I know that I know, here's what I say. Don't argue with me. Prove me wrong. And that's not a challenge and that's not being facetious. It's being truthful because based on my studies, based on what I've done, based on what I know, right? I'm correct in what I'm saying. I'm correct in how I'm behaving, right? So if I am incorrect, prove me to be incorrect. Don't argue. It's not worth it. And even if say you have someone, use critical thinking that way. You can better understand the message that is being true. A lot of people don't even understand what critical thinking is. That's the next part, the next danger in conversation, because a lot of people don't have the ability to critically think. Even you yourself, if somebody is saying that you're wrong and you know inside of you and you feel with all your heart that you're correct, don't argue. Just tell them. Prove me wrong. Why do you believe I'm wrong? What do you know that I don't know? Or maybe what I know, I've misunderstood it, right? This opens up dialogue and it's a learning opportunity. Exactly. That's all you have to do. So we're not making assumptions, right? We're not making assumptions. Okay, and the last one, and then I'm gonna get into breaking it down. And the last one is do your best. Always do your best. And I don't know about you, but I know for me, I heard throughout my childhood, always do your best. We shouldn't be stubborn to apologize. That's pride right there. And a lot of people are very prideful or embarrassed. Sometimes you could go on believing something and believing that it was right and what you know is what you know. And you're invested, and sometimes you can get so invested in that now you're too embarrassed to turn back. You're too embarrassed to turn around. I've watched this happen in relationships. I've watched this happen in relationships. And in these relationships, you feel invested, right? You see all the red flags. All the red flags are there. But you are so invested that you feel you could change that person or change that person's mind or change the situation. So you don't want to turn back. One, you don't want to be wrong. Two, you don't want to have wasted your time, the time that you invested. You don't want to, oh no, I didn't waste that time, right? So with that, you just keep going along to get along. That happens. Yeah. You're speaking to somebody who's married for 30 years and 12 of those years were just really wasted. It was wasted time because 12 years prior to actually leaving, I knew it was over. It was obvious, right? But I didn't want to give up them 18 years that I had invested. So things are going to change. Things are going to get better, right? We do this to ourselves time and time and time again. We do this to ourselves. And that's because of pride and not wanting to be, wrong and feeling we can change things when you look back on it. You want a refund? I wish. See, so that's why I am the way I am. If you've ever heard me speak, you've heard me say time and time again, when it comes to money, I don't cherish money like I cherish time. Money I can get back. Time, I can never regain my time. I can never, tomorrow can never be today. It's always behind me. I can never get it back. So my time is more valuable to me because that's something that I can't get back. You ask me for $5, you don't give it back to me, I could get $5 another way, right? Even if you don't give me my $5 back, right? You ask me for my time and you waste my time, I can never get that back. It's never coming back to me. That time is gone and it's lost. So, yes, when it comes to my time, I do not play. But let's read what it says about always do your best. So always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will differ. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstances, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Always do your best. One of the things when I began to know that it was over, one of the things that I started evaluating was, had I done my best, right? Had I done my best to save it? Had I done everything humanly possible to make sure that I wasn't at fault and I wasn't wrong? Did I do my very best to make my marriage work? I really did. I took inventory to make sure, to see. And part of how I ended up staying, not for 12, but for 2 of those 12, was I noticed that I had counseling. I went to counseling. The kids went to counseling, but he never went to counseling, right? So I gave him 2 years. You need to get some help. You need to see someone, even if you don't see him with me. I would like for you to see someone by yourself, see someone with me, and see someone with the kids. Like, do a family thing, because we're all broken. And if you've ever watched my content,